So here is a simple solution if you're afraid to spend your money in retirement. So a survey from the Journal of Personal Finance showed that half of respondents agreed with the following statement. The thought of my retirement portfolio balance going down over time brings me discomfort, even if the decline in value is a result of me spending money on my retirement goals. Another survey from BlackRock found that on average across all wealth levels, most current retirees still have 80% of their pre-retirement savings almost 2 decades into retirement. So almost 20 years into retirement, they still have 80% of what they saved for retirement. And more than a third of current retirees actually grew their assets. So the question is, why don't people spend money in retirement? And the biggest reason is because of uncertain futures. We don't know what the future holds. Now, there's been tons of surveys out there, and I've looked at a ton of them as far as what is the biggest fears for retirees. And the number one fear on every survey is always the fear of running out of money. The second one is the future health care costs. And the third one is long-term care costs. And healthcare costs and long-term care costs can both contribute to the number one fear of running out of money. And so it makes sense that people don't want to spend their money because they're so worried about if they spend it, that they're not going to have the money available to deal with those big financial shocks if and when they pop up. The third one here is the lack of faith in a retirement plan. So either they've done their own retirement planning and they're not feeling really confident in their own planning skills, or they're working with a retirement planner or a financial planner, and even though the financial planner has laid things out and showed them what's possible, how to do things in a safe manner as far as withdrawal rates, either way, they just have a lack of faith in that retirement plan, again, because of what if things happen that could derail the retirement plan no matter what. And finally, there is an emotional sense to this, and there's also a safety issue with that, right? So people are going to feel much more secure and safe by having all that money in retirement because, again, of things that may happen at some point in the future. So people are just scared of what's going to happen, and they just want to be prepared in case it does happen. The issue, though, is then that most people don't enjoy their retirement the way that it should be. So here's a question for you. What if you had another growing source of cash as a backup plan? Would you spend more money? Would you travel more? Would you go see the grandkids more? Would you fly the grandkids to come see you? Would you gift more to a charity or tithe to your church? Would you spend more money on your hobbies? If you had another growing source of cash as a backup plan, would you spend money out of your retirement portfolio? And I think most people would, but they're just not aware of this option and this other source of growing funds that they could use as a backup in case they do run out of money or in case there are other large financial shocks that pop up during their retirement. So let's take a look at the scenario of Greg and Carolyn. They're both 65, so they're young. They're in their go-go years. They have a household income of $5,500 a month. They have $350,000 in retirement savings, and they own their home free and clear. They want to travel. They want to do other things to enjoy their retirement. They want to have other life experiences, but they feel constrained and they're worried about running out of money. And they're also worried about having enough money to pay for health care at some point in the future. And they've been what-ifing all of the possible things that could go wrong and have become paralyzed by the what-ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this and that happens? And so by running all these what ifs, worst case scenarios, they've become paralyzed and do not want to spend any money out of their retirement savings, and therefore they are going to forego enjoying the retirement that they wanted and that they deserve and that they've worked hard for. So Greg and Carolyn, they reached out to me because they really do want to do these things, but they are just worried about running out of money, and they wanted to see if there was an alternative, and there is. And that alternative is to get a reverse mortgage. So we looked at 3 different options for Greg and Carolyn. So the first option was to get a reverse mortgage today as a backup plan and then draw $1,900 a month from their IRA so they can go do all the fun stuff that they want to do. So this scenario is represented by this bar chart here. The blue represents the home value, and we're assuming a 4% appreciation rate, which historically is pretty accurate. The orange represents the loan balance, and we can see this loan balance is growing over time. The reason the loan balance is growing in this scenario is because we are making the assumption that Greg and Carolyn are not making a monthly mortgage payment. They still have to pay their property taxes and insurance, but because they're not making a monthly payment, the interest in mortgage insurances is getting added to that loan balance. Therefore, it's growing over time. The green, this is their growing source of backup funds, which is this line of credit. And we can see this line of credit is growing over time, and that's because any funds available in this line of credit are growing at the current interest rate plus 0.5%. So we can see by the time they are 80, they're expected to have $456,000 in this line of credit, which is pretty awesome. Now, what's also great about this line of credit is growing regardless of what's happening to home value. So even if home values were coming down, this line of credit still continues to grow. Now, Greg and Carolyn didn't really like this growing loan balance, so what they decided to do is make a monthly payment. So again, they're going to pay $345 a month for 5 years, but they're also going to be drawing $1,900 a month from their IRA. Again, the blue is the home value, and the orange is that loan balance. And we can see by year 5, they have this thing almost paid off. They can't pay it off completely because otherwise, if they do that, the loan would go away, and that defeats this whole strategy. And we can see in 10 years, that $44 grows to $88. So not a big deal. But this line of credit is actually larger in this scenario. So if we look in 15 years, they have over $500,000 available in this line of credit. So if we looked at the first option, they only had $456,000. In this option, they have $506,000. So we've added $50,000 to this line of credit because of making the payment of $345 a month. The reason being is that any payment that's made towards the reverse mortgage loan balance not only pays the loan balance down, but it increases that line of credit dollar for dollar. And remember, any funds that are available in that line of credit are growing at the current interest rate plus 0.5%. So again, what we're doing is we're creating a significantly, and I will say large amount of funds that are growing as a backup plan as they're spending the money out of their IRA. Now, let's say in 10 years, they needed to draw out, $50,000 to replace their roof. The great thing about that is they still don't have to make a monthly mortgage payment towards the reverse mortgage. They still have to pay their property taxes and their homeowner's insurance, but drawing any money out of this line of credit, they don't have to make that monthly payment. On top of that, drawing any funds out of this line of credit are tax-free. They're in the proceeds are considered it's a loan, and therefore it is not taxable. So the third option is to get a reverse mortgage and spend the money out of the reverse mortgage first, allowing that IRA to grow. And so in this scenario, what we're doing is we're drawing $1,900 a month from the reverse mortgage line of credit, and will do that for 7 years and then stop, because once they turn 73, they will be required to start drawing money out of their IRA due to the required minimum distribution. So the government knows that people are afraid to spend their retirement money. So starting at age 73, they actually start forcing them to draw money out of their retirement in order for the government to get their taxes that are due. All right. So in this scenario, again, the blue is the home value. The orange is that loan balance. So we can see this loan balance is growing quite significantly over time, because again, we're drawing $1,900 a month. Every time we draw $1,900, it gets added to the loan balance. And on top of that, we're making the assumption that Greg and Carolyn are not making a payment. They still have to pay their property taxes and their homeowners insurance. But then the interest and mortgage insurance is getting added to that loan balance. So that's why it's growing over time. The green, again, is the line of credit, and we can see we're drawing that down because we're drawing $1,900 a month. And then in year 7, we will stop. And so then we can see this line of credit then continues to grow from there. So even in 15 years, they're still expected to have a $95,000 line of credit. Now, you may be thinking, why on earth would we draw the money out of this thing and have this growing loan balance? And the reason being, again, is because you're leaving the IRA alone. You're just letting that grow. All right. So out of these 3 options, which one is the best? So I'm showing you 4 because really the 4th option is to do nothing at all. But before I move forward with this, I got to say this is not financial advice. You really should seek the advice of other licensed professionals, such as a financial advisor, a planner, CPA, or attorney, to figure out if this is something that might make sense for you. And again, this is for illustrative purposes only. I'm just showing you what might be possible through the strategic use of a reverse mortgage. Now, out of all these options, I think most people would lean towards option number 2, and that's because by the time that Greg and Carolyn are 80, they have $729,000 of funds available between their IRA and their reverse mortgage line of credit. If we look at doing nothing at all, they would only have $517,000 available when they're 80. So there's actually a $212,000 difference between getting the reverse mortgage as a backup today versus doing nothing at all. Now, the other thing we got to look at is with the reverse mortgage, getting that as a backup plan, making that monthly payment for 5 years. They'll be able to draw $342,000 over that 15-year period to go and do all the things that they want to do, have a fun and comfortable retirement, the retirement that they have deserved. But doing nothing at all, well, they get no money, right? They're just, by doing nothing at all, what most people are going to do is just wait until they're actually forced to start drawing money out of that IRA. They're forced by the government to start drawing those funds. So the one place that the doing nothing at all, I think, could be the clear winner is if you want to leave the largest estate for your heirs. So in that situation, number 4, doing nothing is the best option at all. But realistically, between the two, you're looking at about $190,000 difference between the 2 options here. Now, I think most people would rather have fun during the retirement, and they'd rather have fun and not have that fear of running out of money, hanging over their heads, which is why I think option 2 makes the most sense. And in fact, all 3 options are leaving more funds available than doing nothing at all. So again, it reduces your chances of running out of money. Again, the clear winner only for the ability to have the largest estate is number 4, doing nothing at all. So you want to see how this would work for you. You want to see what your numbers would look like, what your options are. You want me to do some forecasting to see what this could look like. Give me a call. There's no cost to speak with me. There's no obligation for me to put this together for you. And of course, I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you have about reverse mortgages. So give me a call, and I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks.